Amazing journey, poor girl discovered as hidden heiress to Arabian billionaire's fortune. Emma wiped down the counter at May's diner, the old vinyl booth seats still stubbornly clinging to their faded colors. The sweet smell of pies baking in the oven filled the air, yet the diner was far from bustling today. Just a couple of regulars nursing their cups of coffee, lost in their thoughts. Emma's heart ached. Every time she looked around, she remembered the laughter and warmth that used to fill this place. Ever since the accident that took her parents, the world felt heavier. She poured another cup of coffee, her hands trembling slightly. She shuffled back to the kitchen, where her grandmother was seated at the rickety wooden table, eyes clouded over with age and illness. A well-loved quilt rested on her lap. Despite the burden on her shoulders, Emma fought back her tears. "I'll be all right, Grandma," she said, her voice steady, but inside she felt like she was falling apart. Taking care of her grandmother was a duty driven by love. She needed to keep the home alive, to honor her family's memory. But today, everything changed. The bell above the door tinkled softly, and in walked a stranger. He was tall, with a confident air and a sharp suit that seemed out of place in the small diner. He scanned the room, and his eyes landed on Emma. The air thickened as he approached her, urgency in his stride. "Emma," he said, his voice low and steady. "You don't know me, but I have news that could change everything for you." Her heart pounding, Emma swallowed hard, barely able to breathe. "What do you mean?" "You are the heiress to a fortune. Your father, he was a billionaire from Arabia." He leaned in closer, his intensity squeezing her heart. The world swirled around her. Everything she thought she understood about life began to tremble with unknowable possibilities. Did she dare dream about riches? Was she really ready to walk away from everything that shaped her? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma sat down, the floor beneath her suddenly unsteady. Her grandmother's voice broke into her thoughts, her eyes filled with fear. "Emma, please. We can't lose you. The town needs you. You're here for a reason." But now the diner, the place that was once her sanctuary, felt suffocating. Ideas of extravagant lifestyle lingered in her mind, tempting yet terrifying. As whispers of her hidden fortune spread, the community began to notice her struggle. Torn between her loyalty to her roots and the shimmering promise of wealth, Emma experienced an emotional dissonance that felt insurmountable. Just as she thought clarity was within her grasp, her grandmother's unexpected decision shook the very foundation of her reality. Emma stood at the edge of a precipice, heart racing, knowing she had to face the most crucial question of her life: what truly defined success? As townsfolk rallied around her, each gaze heavy with concern, Emma felt the weight of her decision pressing down like a stone. Would she embrace a future unknown, or cling to the love that raised her? The uncertainty clawed at her. Emma's heart raced, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. The weight of the stranger's revelation settled heavily on her chest, as if the universe itself was waiting to see what she would choose. She looked around the diner, the familiar booths and countertops suddenly seeming foreign. The comforting smells of bacon and eggs felt bittersweet, tainted by the reality hanging over her. "What do you mean I'm an heiress?" she finally managed to ask, trying to sound steady but failing to hide the tremor in her voice. The man's deep-set eyes held a mixture of concern and warmth, as if he could feel her turmoil. "Your father was a wealthy businessman. After he passed, you were to inherit a substantial fortune, but the details were kept secret for your protection," he explained, his voice steady. "I'm here to help you understand your rights and what lies ahead." Emma felt a momentary rush of anger. But why now? Why not tell me sooner? The words slipped from her lips before she could temper them with reason. She thought of all those nights she spent dreaming of a better life, of her parents, her grandmother, the diner that felt like an anchor in a stormy sea. His gaze softened. There have been circumstances that led to the delay, but you need to know this isn't just about money. It's about family and legacy. You have a chance to uncover who you truly are. She felt a flicker of hope alongside her rising anxiety. What if I refuse? What if I want nothing to do with it? Then that's your choice, he replied calmly, not pushing. But imagine what you could do with the resources that come with that inheritance. You could care for your grandmother, restore the diner. Your life doesn't have to stay small if you don't want it to. His words ignited something in her, a yearning for a life beyond her current struggles. Yet, it scared her deeply. What would be left of her if she embraced this new reality? Emma, her grandmother's soft voice broke through her thoughts. We've built our lives here. This diner it's special. But she paused, gripping the quilt tightly, you were always meant for more. Tears wet Emma's eyes as her grandmother's frailty reminded her of the delicate balance they all walked. What if that more came at the cost of losing what they had worked so hard to nurture? The doorbell jingled, and a group of townsfolk entered, their friendly chatter filling the empty space. They greeted Emma and offered their smiles, unaware of the storm brewing within her. Their presence grounded her, pulling her back to reality. Here were the people who leaned on her, who relied on her warmth, her spirit, her love. Emma inhaled sharply, heart still racing. The thought of leaving was terrifying, yet the thought of staying felt stagnating. If she stayed, would she be betraying her parents' memory? If she left, would she be betraying her community? I can't make this decision right now, she said finally, her voice trembling. Everything is too much. The man nodded, seeming to understand. Take your time, Emma. Just know, when you're ready, you'll have a choice to make. And whichever road you choose, it will define who you are moving forward. As he turned to leave, a sense of finality hung in the air. Emma was left with her thoughts swirling like storm clouds, unsure of which path would lead her to peace. What if the path she chose would change everything? What if in discovering her legacy, she lost the very essence of who she had always been? The question echoed in her mind as she looked at her grandmother, and then to the customers now spreading warmth throughout the diner. Emma knew she stood at a crossroads, and every step forward held the promise of a new beginning, or the danger of losing it all. Would she dare step into the unknown, or would she choose the safety of the familiar? Emma's mind felt like a spinning wheel, each thought a rapidly changing hue of fear and excitement. She sat back in her booth, anxiously fiddling with the edges of the tablecloth. Around her, life continued. Laughter floated from a corner where kids shared milkshakes, and the steady sound of the coffee pot being poured grounded her amid chaos. But here she was, at a pivotal moment. The weight of a world unknown was heavy on her shoulders. Could she truly be an heiress? With the promise of a life vastly different than this one, she felt a flicker of desire igniting within her, a longing for something more. Yet simultaneously, the thought of leaving behind her world was suffocating. Emma? Her grandmother's voice peeked through her thoughts again, gentle and filled with wisdom. What are you thinking? She looked frail, but her eyes sparkled with a shared strength. Emma hesitated. She wanted to spill out her fears and hopes, yet something held her back. It's just, what if everything changes? What if I'm not ready for it? Her grandmother reached across the table, her hand resting on Emma's. Change is like a wave. It can crash over you without warning. But you must decide if you'll ride it, or let it pass. You were meant to swim, dear. One of the patrons, a jovial man with a rugged beard, approached their table. Hey, Emma. The usual? His laughter was infectious, and despite her turmoil, she managed a weak smile. Yeah, just a coffee for now, Charlie. Charlie grinned widely as he poured her a cup. You know, it's a small town but this diner is the heart of it. We'd all miss your spark if you ever pulled up roots and left. His words struck a chord deep within her. Emma looked around the diner, absorbing every detail: the chipped formica tables, the faded jukebox, a charm wrapped in memories of cherished moments. The faces of her friends and neighbors were now etched with uncertainty as they waited for the next move from her. Emma, her grandmother spoke softly again, imagine the good you could do for everyone here, and for yourself. You could help restore the diner, you could bring us all into the future. The idea felt tempting yet daunting. If she accepted her inheritance, what legacy would she create? Would it align with the essence of who she was? Would her heart still stay rooted to this place? Suddenly, she felt a tinge of resolve. But what if I choose both? What if I can use my inheritance to help here, to support this diner and my family? Her grandmother's eyes lit up, and a smile creased her face. That's the spirit. You have the power to define your legacy, Emma. She took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the coffee cup seep into her palms. It felt like a fleeting moment of clarity amidst the cacophony. But just as she felt sure, doubt crept back in. What would the man who brought the news think? Would he support her choice if it meant juggling two worlds? Before she could dwell too far into her uncertainty, the door swung open again, and in walked a tall figure cloaked in an air of confidence. The stranger's sharp suit contrasted sharply against diners in their everyday clothes, and Emma couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't a mere passerby. "Where's Emma?" he called out, scanning the room. His voice commanded attention, and the chatter quietened as eyes focused on him. Emma's heart raced. What if he was part of her father's world? What if he was there to deliver more news, either to drive her into the waiting unknown or stop her from leaving everything she knew? As panic and intrigue battled within her, she thought one thing. What if the real story was just beginning? Emma's breath hitched in her throat as she met the man's gaze. He seemed to study her, those sharp eyes narrowing as if calculating his next move. The room was suddenly too quiet, the sounds of clinking glasses and soft laughter fading away, replaced by the pounding of her heart. "Emma," he said again, stepping towards her table, an air of authority guiding his every stride. She felt a mixture of fear and fascination, like standing at the edge of a cliff, peering into waters unknown. The diner, with its rustic charm, began to feel more like a sanctuary as the man advanced. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice wavering slightly. Behind her, her grandmother's expression had shifted from curiosity to concern, her hand tightening around her coffee cup. "I'm Vincent," he said, his voice smooth yet assertive, as if every word had been rehearsed. "I'm here on behalf of your father's estate." Her father. The thought was foreign, a riddle waiting to be solved. She had spent so much time grappling with the implications of her inheritance that hearing his name sent a ripple of confusion through her. "What do you want?" Emma said, folding her arms defensively. Vincent leaned slightly, a smirk drawing on his lips. "I'm here to discuss your role in the family legacy. It's time for you to step into your destiny." "Destiny?" Emma echoed, incredulous. The word felt heavy and impossible. She could feel Charlie's eyes on her, concern etched across his friendly face. Suddenly, the weight of the diner, her hometown, felt heavier than ever. "Yes. You don't understand yet, but you have a significant future ahead of you. One that will not only impact you but those you hold dear." He paused, letting his words sink in as he scanned the room. Emma, her grandmother, spoke softly, breaking the silence that loomed. "Maybe he's right. Maybe it's time to embrace your future." In that moment, Emma felt a surge of frustration. "But what about my present?" she snapped, glancing around at the people she loved, her roots buried deep in this place. "I can't just abandon everything for some legacy I didn't choose." Vincent shrugged, unbothered. "You can have both. You just need to take the first step." The tension thickened, and Emma stared into Vincent's eyes, searching for truth, for answers, yet finding only an unyielding certainty. An array of emotions clenched her insides: excitement, dread, pain. She wanted so badly to scream, to tell him to leave, to let her be. But he also ignited a strange curiosity about the man she had never known. "Emma, listen to your heart," her grandmother urged gently, "but also hear this man out. Sometimes, new horizons need to be embraced." That small piece of advice began to chip away at the walls she had built. What if embracing the journey meant creating a bridge between her worlds instead of tearing them apart? I need time to think," Emma finally said, her voice steadier. "This is all so sudden." Vincent nodded, unfazed. "I can give you time, but not forever. Decisions await. Destiny has its own timeline." As he turned to leave, the eyes of the diner followed him, whispers rippling through the crowd like water disturbed. Emma felt clarity and confusion dance in her mind, her heart pulling her in two different directions. But there, across the booth, her grandma offered a smile of encouragement, and for the first time since her inheritance was revealed, Emma felt the glimmer of hope blossom within. As she sat back, considering all that had just transpired, she realized it wasn't just about wealth or legacy. It was about her journey, the choices she would make. Could she weave together her two worlds without severing the bonds that held her? What if the true test was yet to come? Emma sat in the diner, her heart still racing. Vincent's words floated in the air, echoing off the vintage walls lined with photos from a time long past. "Your role in the family legacy." The phrase nagged at her as though it were a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. She looked across the table at her grandmother, whose eyes shimmered with concern. "Grandma," Emma said, her voice trembling, "what if embracing this destiny changes everything? What if it means leaving you behind?" Her grandmother's weathered hands tightened around her coffee cup, warmth radiating from her as she considered Emma's fears. "Honey, we've always learned to adapt. Life isn't about playing it safe, it's about seizing opportunities." Charlie, who'd been quietly observing, leaned in closer, his brow furrowed. "Emma, I can't pretend to understand everything that's happening right now. But I do know you. You're strong, and whatever this is, you're not alone." His words grounded her, like an anchor amidst the storm swirling inside. Vincent's smooth voice interrupted her thoughts as he returned to their table, the curious eyes of the diner still upon him. "Have you had time to think?" he asked with an expectant look, like a hawk observing its prey. I am still processing everything," Emma stammered, her mind racing. "It feels like there's so much at stake." Vincent tilted his head slightly, assessing her. "Your father's legacy is tied closely to a vision meant to be unlocked by you alone. It's not just about money, Emma. It's about the impact you can create." A part of her wanted to fight against the tide pulling her towards a future that felt both alluring and terrifying. "And what if I don't want it? What if I want to stay here, in my little corner of the world?" His smirk faded slightly, replaced with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. "Running from your potential never fulfilled anyone. Embrace your true self, and this legacy will become a gift, not a burden." Taking a deep breath, Emma felt her resolve begin to shift. "What does embracing it mean? What would I have to do?" Vincent leaned in closer, his voice lowering as if sharing a secret. "You will travel to a place far beyond this diner, far beyond anything you've known. A world that will test you, change you, but also reveal who you truly are." The thought sent a jolt through her. Travel? Change? It felt like a door creaking open to an adventure she hadn't dared consider. But a flicker of fear ignited in the back of her mind. What awaited her on the other side? "Emma, we'll be with you," Charlie said, sensing her unease. "Whatever this journey is, you've got us." Emma looked from Charlie to her grandmother, both of them offering a shield of support. For the first time, the idea of leaving home didn't feel entirely suffocating. What if she began, her heart whispering possibilities? What if I step into this legacy, but I don't let go of what matters? What if I become the bridge between my old life and the new world you described? Vincent's eyes sparked with approval. That's the spirit. Your strength lies in that very balance, Emma. Finding your footing in both worlds is part of your journey. But you must decide soon. As he stood, the air was thick with anticipation. Emma felt the weight of several lifetimes pressing upon her shoulders. The journey ahead swirled with uncertainty but also glimmered with the promise of discovery. What lies beyond that door? She pondered aloud, but only silence answered her. Then, with a sudden rush, a thought struck her. What if I can't choose both? The question hung in the air, heavy with implications, and Emma realized the moment of truth was more imminent than she had expected. Where would her choice lead her next? Emma's heart pounded as she gazed into Vincent's piercing eyes, the weight of her unasked questions pressing her from all angles. The diner around her faded into a distant hum, its pastel colors blurring as she remained locked in this moment of uncertainty. What if she indeed could not choose both? The thought rattled through her mind like a runaway train. I'll give you time, Vincent finally said, his voice steady but laced with an urgency that tugged at her. But remember, every second counts. As he walked away, Emma felt a strange mixture of fear and thrill ripple through her. She turned back to her grandmother, who was studying her with an intensity that made it hard to breathe. "Grandma," Emma whispered, the words tumbling out. "What if this is all a mistake? What if I step outside this diner, and it's not a world of magic and promises but one of danger instead?" Her grandmother's fingers brushed against Emma's hand, grounding her. "Honey, life is not without risk. I've watched your father take chances that often left him bruised but also brought a light into his life that was unmistakable. You carry that same spark." "What light?" Emma asked, her voice barely a whisper. "The light of potential, my dear. The kind that can shine even in the darkest of places. You can't see it fully yet, but your journey may just lead to a place where that light sparks a change." Emma swallowed hard, the reality of her grandmother's words settling into her bones. But what if that change isn't something I want? What if it leads me further away from you both? "Listen to me," her grandmother said, her tone intense yet tender. "You must follow this path, not only for your own life but for the family legacy. You owe it to yourself to discover who you are meant to be. And we will be right here, encouraging you." Charlie's supportive smile broke through Emma's swirling thoughts. "Then let us figure it out together. You won't be alone, Em. We'll take each step as it comes." Emma nodded, feeling a flicker of hope grow stronger. They weren't just stepping into the unknown, they were stepping together. But even with their support, the lingering fear remained. "Yes, together," Emma murmured, but doubt clouded her voice. "What if this legacy turns out to be something I can't handle? Something that draws a line between what I care about and who I'm expected to be?" "It's up to you to define that line," Charlie reassured her. "You have the power to choose what's worth holding on to and what needs to change. Just promise me you'll not shy away from your instincts. They'll guide you." "I promise," she said slowly, her heart fluttering with newfound bravery. But could she really trust her instincts? The door of the diner swung open, and the scent of the outside world wafted in a mix of rain and blooming flowers. Emma glanced at her grandmother and Charlie, the warmth of their presence giving her a sense of solidity. Outside awaited possibilities that could alter her life forever, but she couldn't shake the uncertainty of stepping away from the familiar. Her gaze flickered to the door one last time. "What's waiting for me out there?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What's waiting is destiny," Charlie replied, his eyes sparkling with encouragement. Emma inhaled deeply, the weight of her choices pressing down on her. They all depended on how she would decide to embrace her journey from here. But as she stared into the distance through the diner window, a shadowed figure passed by, not seeing her, yet somehow forever entwined with her fate. What if that shadow knows something I don't? She thought, anxiety twisting in her belly. The thought echoed in her mind, and for the first time, she truly considered what lay beyond her familiar walls. The moment of choice lingered like a dance, each step replete with tension. What if her past and the road ahead were more intertwined than she ever realized? Emma took a deep breath, the air thickening with the scent of adventure after the rain. Outside, droplets clung to the nearby leaves, creating a sparkling canopy that dared her to step into the unknown. Each second felt like a countdown to something monumental, something that could shape the rest of her life. "Are you ready?" Charlie's voice pulled her from her thoughts, his genuine smile encouraging yet playful. It was as if he could sense the war of emotions churning within her. "I think so," Emma replied, her voice trembling slightly. It was hard to shake off the feeling that she was standing on the edge of something vast and uncharted. "But what if I can't do this?" "Then we'll figure it out together," he said, reaching out to squeeze her hand. His confidence bathed her in warmth, and for a moment, she felt like she could conquer mountains. Maybe that spark her grandmother spoke of was beginning to flicker to life. With a nod, she turned toward the door, the heavy feeling in her chest shifting to exhilaration. She wanted to know the truth, wanted to understand what destiny had in store for her. As Emma stepped outside, light rain began to fall, creating a rhythmic pattern on the pavement. The world appeared strangely vibrant, colors standing out vividly against the gray sky. The shadow she had seen earlier loomed again just a few steps away. It was a man, tall and imposing, with a hood shadowing his features. Her heart raced, curiosity intertwined with apprehension. "Emma!" Charlie called, his voice breaking her reverie. He stepped ahead, encouraging her to follow. "Let us keep moving. We have places to explore." She hesitated for a moment, glancing back at her grandmother, who smiled and gave her an approving nod. With one last look at the diner, a place filled with memories and warmth, Emma took a deep breath and ventured further into the world that lay ahead. The streets buzzed with life as people hurried by, umbrellas blooming like flowers around her. Each pair of eyes met hers with a fleeting glance, and she wondered if they could sense the change within her. A little thrill coursed through her as she realized she was no longer the girl stuck within the confines of her past, she was stepping into a new chapter. "What's first?" Charlie asked, his energy infectious. He gestured toward a quaint bookstore across the street. "That place looks magical. What do you say we check it out?" Emma felt a smile creeping onto her face. "Yeah, let us do it." As they walked, the earlier doubts began to fade into a whisper of certainty. Magic could be real, she was beginning to believe it. Inside the bookstore, enchanting aromas of old pages and fresh coffee blended together. Emma wandered past shelves overflowing with stories, feeling drawn to the words printed on them like they called out to her. Her fingers brushed across the bindings, sending tingles of excitement through her. Suddenly, a glimmer caught her eye, a small, ornate box resting on a shelf that was slightly higher than the rest. It stood there, almost glowing, as if it was waiting just for her to discover it. "Hey, Charlie! Look at this!" She called out, her voice bursting with eagerness. As she reached for the box, a chill ran down her spine. It felt alive with energy, almost humming beneath her touch. What could be inside? And just as she was about to open it, an unexpected voice interrupted, filled with urgency. "Wait! You must not touch that." Emma turned, her heart pounding again, to find the same hooded figure standing behind her, eyes piercing and commanding. What now? She thought, dread mingling with intrigue. As she stood at the crossroads of curiosity and danger, she felt the weight of destiny pressing down on her. What was special about that box? Did it connect her to the world her grandmother spoke of? And just like that, the adventure had only just begun. What awaited her after this unexpected encounter? Emma's heartbeat thrummed in her ears as she stared at the hooded figure. His presence sent a chill that enveloped her, contrasting sharply with the heat radiating from the box. "Who are you?" she asked, curiosity sparking through her fear. "You must listen to me, Emma. This is not just any box. It holds secrets that could change everything," he said, stepping closer. The bookstore, once a sanctuary filled with dreams, felt suddenly stifling. "Secrets? What do you mean?" Charlie asked, positioning himself slightly protectively in front of Emma. His brow was furrowed, betraying his concern. The man hesitated, as if weighing the gravity of sharing the truth. "I was sent to find you before the wrong hands do. This box is a key to your past, your family, and a fortune you never knew existed." His voice dropped to a whisper, "But it's also a target." Emma exchanged glances with Charlie. Possibilities swirled in her mind, wealth, power, her grandmother's stories echoing through her thoughts. But fear gnawed at her. "Why me? I don't feel special." "You are special," the man insisted. "You carry the blood of your ancestors, and their legacy rests on your shoulders. But you must make a choice. Open the box and learn the truth, or leave it be and walk away from your destiny." Both paths seemed to promise a chasm of change, but fear loomed large. Would stepping forward bring them closer to danger or to freedom? "What if I'm not ready?" Emma's voice trembled, uncertainty creeping in despite her brave facade. The man shifted, his expression softening slightly. "Readiness comes with knowledge. Some truths can be overwhelming, but trust that you are stronger than you believe." Emma's mind raced. The blood rushing in her ears muted the bustling bookstore around her. What if this was the moment she had been waiting for? The chance to discover who she truly was, to step out of the shadows of her past. "Charlie, what do you think?" she asked, reaching out to him. His supportive presence grounded her. "I think we can't back down now, Emma. If there's even a chance this is real, we have to know." His eyes sparkled with excitement, though she knew he felt the weight of the choice hanging above them too. With a deep breath, Emma nodded, her resolve solidifying. She turned back to the hooded man, determination creeping in to replace her hesitation. "I want to know." "Good. But know this," he warned, "opening the box will come with its own consequences. Once you discover the truth, there's no turning back." Emma felt the weight of his words, but the lure of discovery burned brighter than her fears. Slowly, she lifted the lid of the ornate box. It creaked open, revealing a collection of old letters, a shimmering pendant, and an ancient map with markings she couldn't begin to decipher. As her fingers brushed over the items, a flash of memories surged through her, visions of a family woven into the fabric of her dreams, a life she never lived but somehow yearned for. And then the sound of footsteps echoed behind her. "Emma!" Charlie shouted, his voice laced with urgency. She turned to see a group of figures enter the bookstore. Their eyes trained on the box, a sinister glint suggesting they were not there for a friendly chat. "Put it down," one of them barked. "That belongs to us." Panic jolted through her as adrenaline flooded her system. Time had stopped, but her next move would define everything. What was in her heritage that others coveted so dangerously? As she stood frozen with the mysteries of the box swirling around her, Emma knew this was only the beginning. A new chapter was unrolling right before her eyes, and she had to decide how it would end. Would she summon the courage to fight for her destiny, or would she let fear control her? The answer loomed just out of reach, and the stakes were higher than she ever imagined. Would she dare take the plunge into the unknown? Emma's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the box. The letters, pendant, and ancient map still lay tantalizingly within, but the threat now felt overwhelming. She could see the intruders clearly, three shadowy figures, all dressed in dark clothing, eyes flickering with a fierce intensity. They were here for the box, for her. "Charlie, what do we do?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Stay calm. "We need to get out of here," he replied, though Emma noticed the way his hands clenched at his sides. There was a fire in Charlie's eyes that partly soothed her nerves but also hinted at the fear bubbling beneath the surface. One of the intruders stepped forward, a tall man with a scar running down his cheek. "I'm giving you one last chance. Hand it over, and nobody gets hurt." Emma's pulse quickened. "What's in the box that's so important to you?" She found her voice stronger now, fueled by a sense of defiance that surprised even her. The man laughed, a harsh, cold sound that sent chills down Emma's spine. "You don't get to know the secrets, little girl. Just know that it's better for you to walk away while you still can." Her heart raced as she glanced back at the contents of the box. She could feel the weight of her ancestors pressing down on her. "No," she said, resolutely anchoring herself in her decision to uncover the truth. "I'm not handing it over." "Then you're making a mistake," the scarred man snarled. Timing was everything. She could sense the tension escalating, an impending storm ready to break loose. Suddenly, she felt Charlie's hand on her arm, firm but gentle. "We have to move. Now." His urgency ignited a flicker of adrenaline. Before she could react, he pulled her back, just as the intruders started charging toward them. Without thinking, Emma snatched the box and dashed deeper into the bookstore. Charlie was right beside her, their footsteps pounding against the wooden floor. There was a storeroom toward the back that Emma had never seen open before. She bolted toward it, adrenaline surging, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. "Emma, in there." Charlie pointed as they reached the door. Just as she swung it open, a loud crash echoed behind them. The intruders had followed closely, the sound of their boots reverberating against the walls. They shoved into the storeroom, quickly assessing their surroundings. Shelves piled high with forgotten books created a semi-dark labyrinth, the light barely trickling in from the small window. Emma felt a mixture of panic and exhilaration. "Hide, Emma," Charlie urged, adrenaline lacing his voice. She didn't have to be told twice. They ducked behind a stack of boxes, hearts racing in sync as they tried to stifle their breaths. The door creaked, and the intruders entered, searching. Emma pressed her back against the wall, gripping the box tightly to her chest, hardly daring to breathe. She could hear them whispering, debating their next move, and it felt like a lifetime stretched between each word. "Where did they go?" one muttered, frustration lining his voice. "I don't know." "Split up and search," the scarred man barked. Emma's stomach dropped. They hadn't noticed yet. But how long would they remain oblivious? With every breath, Emma realized they were on the edge of a precipice, teetering over a cliff of secrets and danger. The contents of that box held the key, and now it was more precious than ever. Her past was colliding with her present in a whirlwind of uncertainty. As the footsteps grew closer, the shadows moving through the aisles, Emma's mind raced. Could they truly escape? Before she could delve deeper into her worries, a sudden thought occurred to her. "Charlie, what if the map shows us where this treasure could be?" His eyes widened. "You think that's why they want it? Because of something beyond just the box?" Emma nodded, a sense of empowerment washing over her. Surviving this was only half the battle, uncovering the truth that lay ahead was the other. Just then, a hand reached around the corner of the shelf, and Emma froze. The choice was clear: fight for her future or remain hidden in the darkness. Another moment passed, and then the box slipped from her fingers, clattering against the wooden floor, dropping wide open. The secrets were now out in the open, and everything was about to change, perhaps forever. What would they uncover next, and who would they become in the process? The echoes of chaos flooded the small storeroom as the box tumbled to the ground. The letters, pendant, and ancient map spilled out, creating a vibrant tapestry of Emma's history unfurling before her. Each item breathed life into the mythos she had always only imagined. Emma's heart raced, not just from fear but from the thrilling realization of purpose. "We can't hold back anymore, Charlie," she whispered fiercely, bolstered by the truth they'd unearthed together. But the moment was fleeting. The scarred man lunged toward the fallen treasures, greedy determination etched into his features. "There it is!" he shouted, eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Run!" Emma shouted, grabbing Charlie's hand as they darted deeper into the storeroom. They maneuvered through the shadows, heartbeats drumming loud in their ears. Books tumbled down, crashing around them as they shoved through makeshift paths, the darkness turning vibrant with urgency. "Do you have the map?" Charlie shouted, his voice strained, but filled with hope. I think so." Emma gasped. The ancient map had fallen, flickering like a beacon beneath her fading fear. Each symbol burned in her memory. It was more than just a map, it was a doorway to what lay ahead. As Charlie dashed ahead, Emma seized the map, her fingers tingling with the charge of discovery. They reached the far end of the storeroom, where another door awaited them, almost mirroring the anxieties they pressed against. "Quick, let us go," Charlie urged, pushing the door open just as the intruders banged against the shelves behind them, furious shouts filling the air. They burst out into the back alleyway, the rain now a gentle drizzle, calming the tension burning in every corner of Emma's soul. Fresh air filled her lungs, tinged with the dampness that fueled her resolve. "Where do we go from here?" "Follow the map," Charlie said, his eyes alight with urgency and inspiration. Emma unfolded the fragile canvas, details unfurling that showed a hidden location marked with an unfamiliar symbol. It represented her father's home in Arabia, the place that felt beyond reach but now pulsed with revelations she was destined to uncover. "Can you believe it? This could lead us to everything your father was, everything he left behind," Charlie exclaimed, grinning. The storm inside Emma had quieted, replaced by determination and a spark of adventure. "But we need to stay hidden. They won't stop at anything to get what they want. We can't let them catch us." Glancing over her shoulder, Emma made her decision. "We need to find a phone. We have to call Grandma and let her know we're okay, and then, we'll need a plan." They rushed through the winding streets together, adrenaline propelling them forward. Every shadow felt charged with potential threats, yet they navigated the roads with newfound unity. They found a small corner coffee shop that seemed to offer a moment of refuge. With hurried whispers, they exchanged stories, piecing together the legacy, the shifts in their realities. "I won't let anything happen to you, Emma," Charlie promised, his sincerity wrapping around her like a warm quilt. "This is our journey now." Flipping the map back to her, Emma traced where they would go next with her finger. "We need a way to get to Arabia. Maybe your parents can help with a flight?" She felt the weight of the revelation behind her choice. The journey ahead meant risking everything, but a surge of liberation poured through her veins. Within a few swift calls, they secured a flight scheduled to leave the next day, and Charlie's parents throwing caution to the wind, combining their support into a shared risk that felt familiar yet exhilarating. Later that night, nestled in Emma's childhood bed, everything cascaded around them. The whispers of the shadows danced through her room, but a flicker of hope illuminated her heart. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Charlie murmured, eyes heavy with unprocessed emotions around the growing darkness. "More than ever." Emma smiled, her heart light with determination. "I'm ready to become the person I was meant to be." As sleep tugged at her eyelids, she dreamed of camels pacing through golden sands, her laughter echoing in lands unknown. The story was unfolding, page by page, waiting for rebellion and revelation. When dawn broke, they gathered at May's diner one last time before embarking on their journey. The familiar aroma of coffee filled the air, grounding Emma in the tapestry of her past once more. As she stood at the counter, a wave of warmth swept through the diner. The patrons greeted her with smiles that promised they would always root for her happiness, no matter the distance. Emma nodded, a determined glint shining in her eye. With a deep breath, she clutched the box, now sealed with purpose, and said thank you to the diner and its walls, memories rich and relentless. No matter where this leads us, we'll return, she promised, locking Charlie's eyes in shared confidence. And they stepped outside, leaving the familiar behind, embracing the road ahead. Their journey had just begun, and every step forward felt electric. Adversity and legacy churned in a beautiful dance as they embraced their story. What lay ahead was unknown, but Emma felt ready. Ready to uncover her truth, lay claim to her destiny, and pursue a life that fused her past with the fiery potential of her future. And as they boarded the plane, a different kind of adventure awaited them, an unveiling of not just her family's legacy but of herself. Emma smiled, her heart racing with anticipation. She had made her choice, and the real journey was about to unfold. Now it's your turn to leap into new adventures. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. And comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts matter. Lastly, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us inspire connections and adventure.